Women travel better in pairs, whether it's around the world, down the street, or everyday life. Meet life adventurers and crazy-ass Cape Cod mothers. Stephanie Viva, local radio host, mother of 5, 2 rescue dogs, 12 chickens, homesteading on a quarter-acre lot. Lisa Bates, travel author, mother of 3 teenagers, including twin boys, 1 big dumb lab, and living on her own cul-de-sac palace. Women travel better in pairs.
Hello, it's Lisa and Stephanie. Welcome back to Women Travel Better in Pairs. Chesapeake Bay, the 48-hour adventure that we had. Quite a time.
It is so good to be back. It was so good to travel.
Right.
We had quite a little adventure for ourselves in just the 48 hours.
Well, it was April vacation, and so we ended up getting a driver out of the deal, your husband.
Thank you, Kevin.
But it's funny to be the passenger in a car of married couple that has been together for a long time, to be in the back seat of listening to their driving habits.
Our better in pairs moments.
No, that's not the way. Which way is it? No, that's not the way.
No,
Which
no.
way is
It's
it?
that he doesn't listen the first time you say it. It's like oblivion. I'm like, I said turn left on 686. What? We all know. We all know
had
how
our
that
little
goes.
Dukes of Hazzard moment only one time.
Oh, I
And
know.
and then after he jumped off the highway real quick, that he did try and kill us on the way there. But I mean, those 2 times, Lisa. We managed to make
Not
it to
bad.
the Chesapeake Bay. So.
In a 10-hour trip. So it is 10 hours from Cape Cod to Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, it is.
And you note to self, so we learned some things. When you get off 95, you're not there yet.
Oh, no.
You have a long way out to the peninsula.
Well, that's just exactly it. It's because they've got the regions of the Northern Neck, which I had no idea that there were certain regions of the Chesapeake Bay area.
And 3 significant peninsulas.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so I'm learning things.
We did learn a lot. I know.
Navigating around them to get into where we were staying at the Tides Inn was a little interesting. Back roads.
All right, so I have to
Very rural.
I have to throw my other plugs in for train travel. If you do go by train, Richmond Station and Colonial Williamsburg Station, both that I've been to, both are excellent, are only an hour away.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to take the train down, rent a car, and hop over, there's another option for you. Nearest airport is Richmond International Airport. So if you were flying down, same thing. Rent a car, you're in Richmond, drive over.
Yeah, they do have like a little small landing pad in the
In the water?
West. Well, they've got that too.
The seaplanes
They've got
we
some
saw?
Seaplanes that they're working on to the Tides End, but they've
Right.
got a small little airport right near the Westmoreland State Park.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's
Okay.
a little pad, so maybe you can get a chopper, a little one, something.
I don't think those are our travelers, but okay.
Hey, however you want to get there, there are options. Also, the bus is also an option.
So I want to thank Jim Gutaw. Jim is our friend that we met on our very first 48-hour trip to Chicago.
Yeah.
And so now almost 2 years later, and he reached out to us and invited us down. And thank you, Jim. It was fantastic. It is truly a treasure.
Yeah, he's working with the Enchantment Group that picked up the Tides Inn, which has been there well before that. I mean, the people there have worked there or have a family member that have worked there forever.
I believe it converted in 1947. The stories are incredible.
Yeah.
I think at one point we both looked at each other and we're like, this is the modern version of Dirty Dancing.
It really was. That's what the resort reminded me of.
It did. It had such a cool family feel. It was beautiful. All right, so let's back up. You pull up to the place, and there's the bikes, and you check in. Southern hospitality just jumps out the door at you.
Yeah.
Couldn't do enough for us, from our luggage to let me get your room ready. But then when you walk in the lobby and just look straight out.
View.
That's what stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is an incredible place.
Lobby with a view. It may be small, but that view packs a punch, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And it just spills right out onto their porch with the Adirondack chairs, overlooking the little creek in which it is in.
Carter's Creek.
Yes.
To be specific. No, but then, you just felt really at home. It felt very comfortable.
Yeah.
And everyone was there to help you. There wasn't a moment where they weren't, oh, could we get you anything? Would you like water? I felt like I walked into someone's mansion that they owned, and I was an invited guest for the weekend,
Yes.
and I felt so welcome. And that is not normally what you feel in a hotel or resort.
Every person that we met there has a story that is around the inn. So that was pretty incredible. We went over to the Fishhawk Restaurant at dinner. Sophie waited on us, and she said she had been there the prior owners, and then was telling us stories about people that had worked there that are 80 years old and still working there, and they were the original butter girls. And I was like, what is a butter girl?
We had to ask. I'm like, butter girl. Okay.
That was their job, was to butter hot bread for people. How cool is that?
Well, we had our Lancaster lemonades, and we chatted up a storm. Also found out that it was almost by accident. It was a farm, and the original owners were not too sure about running an inn, but it was a safe harbor for so many of the boats traveling back and forth that they realized, hey, they might need a good meal, and they might need, a place to stay. And with Prohibition, they had like wooden lockers that are still in the dining room. They're the coolest thing that you could stash your alcohol in.
There you go. Stash my booze. I'm staying down here. Nobody needs to know nothing.
You no longer need to stash your booze.
Right. We've got plenty of it for you.
Exactly. And plenty of oysters.
They do. So we got... the red carpet was rolled out. We got to meet one of the people, Joni Carter from their Oyster Academy. We got to meet Will Smiley, who is their resident ecologist, which you don't normally have an ecologist on staff, but they're really working the land in this environmental project along with it. And then Marston Smith was fantastic with us, telling us how his grandfather was a bellhop there.
I know. Everyone has the sweetest stories, and they were all so happy to work there. Yeah. That was another thing that was absolutely apparent in everyone we talked to.
Yeah, so if you want to hear their stories, we will add them for you to listen to and hear what they've got a part of in the Tides In story, because I feel like the story continues, and the Enchantment Group is doing a really good job of making this resort a space where you don't need to leave. You can just go and stay there. And we've talked to Jim Guton. I'd love to talk to him again about that's what's in post-COVID-19 life. Is people want to go someplace where they don't have to leave. You've got the same people that you're around, and you've, made your little bubble of vacation. It's a little bit more comfort.
It was a wonderful mix of everyone, couples, lots of families, more families than I anticipated.
Right.
Children running around, but in a nice way. They're playing bocce. There's a giant lawn. They have everything. Mm-hmm. All the water activities, paddleboard, which we did not do. That's a previous episode we'll talk about another time.
But we did take a nice sunset cruise with Captain Gene, who brought us everywhere, and the smell of wisteria blooming I still am thinking about, because it was so magical to me.
It was beautiful. The sunset was beautiful. The wine was terrific. They also have tennis, pickleball. There's a 9-hole golf course.
Lots of activities, and then the bikes are ready for you to go into town, the tiny little town that's there.
The town that fell out of a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, it really did.
Every Hallmark movie ever was filmed in this town.
If you watch The Good Witch on Hallmark, then you definitely know that is this town. And so we were just walking around the town. It was pouring rain. We didn't care.
No, we
were just, checking out a store, and one of the stores that we stopped in was like, oh, you don't have reservations for lunch? I'll call and make reservations for lunch. Like, who does that for you?
And we literally had to walk another 200 yards, and we were at the Vine, right?
Yeah.
Is it called? Yeah. Really cute place. Great food.
Wine bar.
Yep.
Interesting little menu. All like little specials and snacks to go along with your wine tasting. I had a wine I had never tasted before. I thought it was just incredible. The little side excursion that we had. We went over and we went to the Dog and Oyster, which is a brand new budding winery that is being run by one of the best winemakers in Virginia.
And apparently a great place to ride the Tides In bikes to.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it was raining for us, Jim, or else we would have taken care of that. But he apparently has some stories about his bike trip.
I did donuts around the parking lot. It was fine. I enjoyed it.
Don't forget to check out our website. We have all the pictures and video of those things.
I just love the hospitality angle. I don't know whether it's just Virginia in particular or this area. Everyone was so helpful, kind, directing. Oh, if we don't have it, you go ahead and have it. I feel as if us New Englanders kind of, oh, no, I'm going to keep all my good secrets to myself.
Right.
Where they're like, oh, well, try this or go here. Or they might have more oysters for you. We got to the Dog and Oyster. We had fried oysters, your husband and I, because you're not an oyster fan.
I'm not.
And they were rich and delicious. And the gentleman was telling us about another restaurant we could go to, Miroir, and go over there. And do you know what Miroir and Tiroir is? And so we do
now.
I know. We got a good education on them fancy words that people explain their palettes of, from the ocean to the land. Land is terroir, ocean is miroir. There you go. You learned something.
Now spell it. I'm just kidding.
Trust me, it's Marior. I had to look it up like 7 times to remember it. It's just one of those things. I was like, I can't even Google it if I don't know how to start to spell it.
Oh my gosh.
So I know now.
So if you do travel there with a family, there is plenty of activity. All of the activities that are at the resort, and then a quick walk downtown or a bike downtown. And then we discovered the Compass. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The Compass Recreational Facility.
Oh, yeah.
They have everything. Go-karts, miniature golf, batting cages. That's all outside. A bar, which we did not see until the end. So note to self, it's tucked away on the left when you walk in.
We're really enjoying taking pictures of the mannequins that were showing us how to put our mask on properly. You got to have a good time.
But then indoors, I have terrific pictures and video of Stephanie
Zip lining.
Thank you. I just lost the word. Zip lining, 3 stories up in this building.
Anisha, she's their safety coordinator over at the Compass Entertainment Complex, and she's fantastic.
She was great.
And a blast, and patient as anything.
She got me to be a ninja warrior. I am not into the open air zip lining, but I will go in something that has a cage.
Yeah, so now as movie theaters are starting to open up, they've got one of those and all kinds of great entertainment that I've never seen in any other place before.
It's really a massive place that is very, very unexpected in this area.
Yeah.
And so if you're anywhere, if you're within an hour's drive of this, it is well worth your time.
Totally worth going.
You could spend 6-8 hours there and not cover all of the activities.
Bumper cars alone, I've never seen it. It's almost like an inner space, like you flip around in a circle inside of the bumper car.
Yeah.
It was so cool. I've never seen it anywhere.
Plus all the regular arcade games, food, all the whole 9 yards. So definitely a family-friendly place through and through.
Yeah, and if you're looking for something to do in the rain on a rainy day, there you go. You keep the kids very busy and very active. We also got to get out in the town, so are we going to take a break, or are we going to just jump into what we did in that area, in the Chesapeake Bay area? That is some of the stuff that is around the Tides Inn. But as far as the Tides Inn Resort, I was very impressed with the amount of activities and a full slate of things going on there all the time. It's hopping.
Yes. I mean, we could have taken a pottery class, taken a cooking class. They have special guests come in and do cooking classes. It was just incredible. When you walk out there, you're just bombarded with things to do. I mean, they have a man-made beach down by the pool, it was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, with the Adirondack chairs, to the fire pits, right next to the boathouse, which had the paddle boards and kayaks. Anything you needed was right there. What's a little one that when you put 2 people in, you pedal like crazy and you go nowhere?
That's a paddle boat, as far as
the paddle boat. Yeah, that's what that's called. Yeah, I was watching this family like buzz around in and out of the boats parked in the harbor, their little dock area. Yeah, and it was cute.
Well,
it was
if you're
really
a
fun.
Boater, you can also pull up and dock there for a fee. I guess they charge you per the length of your boat, is what he said. And that was one of the most incredible moments I was watching, because it was pretty foggy, and I'm doing my morning show, and I look out, and here comes this gorgeous sailboat.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Rolling in like it belongs in the Fagawi race. And I'm like, ooh, what is that? And they just docked up and hung out there for a few days.
I know.
And waited out the bad weather that was coming in. Pretty neat.
I'm standing down on the dock, texting her, going, look outside. And she's like, I already did. I'm like, look outside now.
Right?
And I'm like waving to her from the dock.
I was wondering where you were, but you were behind that big oak tree that was kind of like right in the middle. And I was like, I don't know what she wants me to do here.
We watched a live concert under that oak tree.
Yeah.
You know, just sat in the Adirondacks after dinner, and they had live music. I mean, there's just so much going on. It sounds like like a rambling activity list, but that's what it really is.
And that they're going to flesh out more activities as things get safer and more ability to open up. I know that Will, the resident ecologist, is working on all kinds of programs for the kids to see the wildlife that is inside the creek and learn about all of that stuff, which is great.
Yes.
I like a little educational component to the kids playing bocce ball on the lawn, you know? They've got to get their physical activity in, but using their brain makes me happy also. And they definitely have that for an option for you at the Tides Inn.
Definitely listen to the series we did, the sort of Oyster Chronicles and everything about the Tides Inn, because I love what they're doing about people, planet, and profit. profit in that order. And I thought, everyone needs to take a page out of this book because they have an award-winning staff. I mean, award-winning, but their staff love being there. Yep. That's a plus. They're taking care of their people. They're taking care of the people that visit. They're taking care of the planet by their reconstruction. And you have to hear them explain this multi-million-dollar project and plantings that are native to the area. And, you know, it's so important. And eventually they will make a profit from that. But that isn't their primary concern out of the gates. And that was just amazing to hear. When you go out there, I get up early in the morning, I go out. I've never heard. It was like, I'll post the video. It's a cacophony. Is that the right word? A cacophony of sound, of birds, you know, and then found out that the cardinals I was seeing all over the place is the state bird. Right. If you needed to know that about Virginia, now you do.
I learned a lot about Virginia, and I had no preconceived expectations about this.
I will never say water the same way again. No. Without thinking of the waterman.
And you're not going to forget it.
No.
Thank you very much, Miss Joni Carter, the Director of Activities at the Academy of Oysters. You can sit there and learn everything about oysters, eat them, learn how to shuck them, and leave with a full belly and a smile on your face. Now, that's a good day. Lisa's going, not for me. I don't like oysters.
If you don't like oysters, there's plenty of good days for you, too. I had 2 full days of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you scratched for oysters. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit as we flesh out our 48 hours in the Chesapeake Bay area. Coming up, we're going to be talking about Lisa Hull, our director of all things activities in that area.
Thank you so much for spending the entire day with us and giving us the tourism, you know, your tourism job became Gold Star. Yes. We went and did a little bit of everything and learned, again, so much. So here we go with our visit to about an hour away from the Tides Inn.
Yeah. So that morning we got up and we hurried up to another boat. We had spent the evening on our sunset cruise.
Yes.
And then we got the informational cruise aboard the Bay Quest with Captain Dave, who was so fantastic about everything. He knew all the gossip in town. He knew where the good boats were. He knew what everybody was doing. Like, you want an insider on the water to tell you this is what they're up to. This is what they're up to.
His boat was fantastic. So well equipped to do the educational pieces that he does out there.
It's a Coast Guard boat, and that's what he does. He takes, whether it's kids or fishing trips or however he gets out on that water, you got to make your life. That's how he gets it done. Yep. Educational trips is what he loves to do with kids aboard. And he really explains the whole oystering from start to finish.
And by the way, he is driving the boat from the back. Mm-hmm. The steering wheel was in the back right corner. And I couldn't for the life of me understand. I thought he was just rolling in a rope. And I'm like, are you driving from back here?
I felt right at home because my uncle was Master Chief in the Coast Guard. And that was definitely a Coast Guard boat that he had retrofitted. And he was driving from the backside.
He had everything custom made. And we were given the opportunity to rake and pull in our own oysters and drop them up there.
And saw some baby shrimp. I ate an oyster right from the Potomac. That
slurped it down.
Amazing. Yes.
Yes. My husband even backed out of that one.
He was like, no, thank you.
No, thank you. It's 9 a.m.
And he brought the Old Bay, which, by the way, Lisa has never heard of Old Bay.
I love Old Bay. How did I not know what that was?
I don't know either. But it is such a Southern thing. And I thought maybe because my girlfriend is in Charleston and they do the low country boil. As they like to refer to it.
I first heard it at the Fishhawk at the Tides Inn. Yeah. She said, do you want Old Bay on your fries? And I kind of looked at her like, she said spices. And I said,
that's good, guys. By the way, throw some Old Bay
so
on your fries.
Good. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'll try that. And then it became a thing. I'm like, what is this Old Bay thing?
Yep.
You're like,
you know.
I know. I'm going to get some.
Seafood. So the crabs weren't quite ready when we were out there. They were doing their molt, and we got all of the different molts and the, what the heck is it? How they mate. We got all kinds of great stories from Captain Dave. Because
he has to teach 12-year-olds about this. So I already was like, this has got to be a fun conversation.
The incredible part of the Northern Neck is it's so close to Maryland.
Yes.
And the feeding grounds are kind of all explained. But he knows exactly where which creek enters, which one begins, and where the Chesapeake Bay actually is, where the Potomac is. And it all kind of seemed like one to me.
Yeah. He would point and I'd say, that's a big lot of water we're looking at.
That's all I know.
But there were some serious lines drawn in the sand between Maryland and Virginia about who's crabs and who's, I mean...
Rules,
yes. So
lots of ocean rules there. And We learned a little bit about them when Lisa and I took our trip to Portland, but I guess it gets a little even hairier down in the Chesapeake Bay area.
Them's a fighting words down there.
No, so Lisa brought us aboard the Bay Quest, and that was a great day. I got a little bit of a sunburn. I should have taken a nod from Captain Dave slathering on his SPF and hats. But yes, we got to pull out some real oysters from the bottom and taste them and see that this was a real oyster, not a diploid or a triploid, which, by the way, are like farmed oysters, and they don't reproduce, and they make the same size. It was an oyster education and a half.
And then we went to an oyster farm and pulled up and just watched the process from afar.
Yeah.
And I mean, I videoed the sound of all those shells being thrown onto a conveyor belt by like 10 men in a room. And it was just, it's unbelievable. Well, and then how they return those shells to the beds, which is what that we learned ecologically is what needs to be done to keep the water clean.
So stop making those paintings and Christmas tree ornaments. The shells need to go back in the water.
Clean.
The oysters need them.
Yes.
So that was our sea adventure that we began the morning off with. And then Lisa took us to some local food trucks, which I absolutely loved.
Loved them. Loved the fire truck.
Yeah.
Loved the, what was it, the stinking yellow? Oh, you're going to have to cut this. Another fun name truck.
Right,
anyways.
But we got to see the food trucks where the locals eat, and that's where you want to eat. You know what I mean? Your husband had a crab cake sandwich, and I was so jealous. I looked over.
He
and
never came up for air.
Why did I not order? I had such food envy. I was like, I want that crab cake sandwich.
She then took us on a great tour of the Northern Neck. We went over to Montrose, which is a cute little downtown area.
Yeah.
Really rebuilding, really cool murals on the buildings.
The murals. And then we found out about the old Coca-Cola factory in town, which, by the way, is for sale. But I guess Montrose was the first time that ginger ale, the recipe for the original ginger ale for Coca-Cola, was made right there. And that's where it came from. So I was like, I want some local ginger ale.
Right?
I hope somebody brings back the original recipe
they
and starts making it.
Took it off the menu, went the way of Tab and a few other of their products. But
that was a good little folklore kind of cool thing. It was pretty neat.
So then we went out to a historic site, a rebuild, which I'm going to say it wrong. It is Minokin.
And Clarissa, and the only reason why I remember her name is Clarissa explains it all. Explained the whole part about Minokin to us.
Yes.
But it was the home of Francis Lightfoot Lee, who was the signer of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, yes, he was.
So that's why I was watching it, and I love the way that they're setting up Minokin, because they're doing it in a fashion that I've never seen it done before.
Yeah, jump over to our website to see the pictures, but it is incredible. So it's essentially a ruin of the house, but they're rebuilding it and structuring it so that you can walk through the ruin, and they're going to use glass, the kind of glass that Apple uses on their phones, which I thought was kind of cool. They've been doing this for 30 years now, waiting to get the right products, the right pieces in place. You're going to be able to walk through and see the ruin, like see the layers of insulation, shells, the floor, how it was made. That's what the joists look like. So, you visit a lot of historic homes, which we'll talk about the Great House in a minute, but getting to see what they look like behind the walls, like how they were built, I think is incredible.
Yeah,
really.
Horsehair and oyster shells and just making their own concrete, which is why it didn't stand.
They had excavated all the rocks from the foundation, labeled all of them. They're in just these endless rows of bins of rocks. I thought the work that has gone in here is just amazing.
Yeah, it really was very neat. I was glad that we got to see it, because I had, once again, no expectations. It's a rubble house in the woods. And then you get there and you're like, this is really very cool how they're using technology to preserve and then use this as a teaching spot. So I thought it was very neat.
So if you are traveling with kids, and we know that you're always looking for that place for them to run around, there is Westmoreland State Park in Montrose. We didn't visit there.
And fossils.
But they're known for their fossils.
The Miocene era. So if you see those cliffs that we looked at when we were staying at Stratford Hall.
When we went for our jog.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So when you see those cliffs, that's where they've got a whole whale head, old fossils.
That's very cool.
That was really, really cool.
But we took another little historical turn off to George Washington's birthplace.
Yep.
And that's a neat little museum. It was free that day. Don't know if it's always free, but check that. The walking paths around it on the river are incredible. Picnic spaces. So if you're just looking for a place to enjoy nature, nature, take a nice long walk. This was a great historical stop. He didn't live there very long, but he was born there. So I loved that little history piece dropped in there.
Yeah, and it really just is a pretty sight out to picnic and hang out.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
We were brought to the creme de la creme of our visit. We went to Stratford Hall, which is the home of the Lee Plantation.
Yep.
And we got to stay in a cabin. So it was kind of like going into your grandmother or great grandmother's living room.
Right.
They were the neatest little things with 4, 5, 6 bedrooms.
Definitely haunted.
We had a little fun that night because we were the only ones staying there. Stephanie was by herself on one side of the house.
And there's some sort of feel. This is Robert E. Lee's birthplace. And you're thinking, okay, this is a piece of history and we'll have to leave it at that. And the enslavement homes that were, 20 yards away from where you're staying. And you just kind of feel it.
Yeah.
That old history that something bad happened here, something good happened here, some weird things happened here. And it was the middle of the night and Lisa sends me a meme of that chick going backwards down the stairs. And she's like, was that you? Was that a ghost? And I'm like, I now am not going to sleep. Thanks a lot. Although I did eventually fall asleep reading about the history of Stratford Hall and everything that went along with it. But it was absolutely beautiful.
It was. We got to, you got to broadcast from there.
Yeah.
And then we got to go for a nice walk jog. We saw a lot of wildlife when we were there.
Yes, we did.
I have definitely check our social for
Stephanie chasing gophers.
Lisa nearly stepping on a very large black snake. But we got down to a grist mill that was right on the river. I mean, just a beautiful place to walk around, beautiful gardens. And then in the morning, we got to take a tour of the Great House. And this is my favorite kind of tour because you wear the headphones and you're given a clicker and you walk up and you click and you listen to the little pre-recorded thing. And if you don't want to listen anymore, because sometimes it diverges into something you don't care about.
Yeah.
I'm married to a history teacher. I know my limits of listening to history.
Like the extras, though, that they added about the specific enslaved peoples that were working there. And one of them had a daughter and the daughter was blind. And it was just
that was incredible story.
It really was. And I loved how they made it about the enslavement people that lived their whole lives on this specific area and what happened with the Lee family, which is just kind of tragic, and the mother kind of lost her mind.
Yeah, there's quite the story there. Near the cabin where we stayed, I don't know if you got to see this, but there was a monument to the burial ground of many of the enslaved workers of that plantation. And it was really moving to just see sort of a rock with a plaque.
Yeah.
And to think about what actually transpired there and what that memorial means. And we have a history, and that history is there, and we need to learn from it and understand how that came to be even possible.
Yeah.
Because it just boggles my mind in this day and age that anyone would ever own anyone or, have workers like that. But so it was really an incredible visit. There was so much to learn. We could have spent hours there.
Yeah.
There really was. And I really do enjoy that kind of tour that they really give you the highlights and you can move on to the next thing, the barns, the gardens, everything.
Overall, our trip to the Chesapeake Bay was a mix of history, boating, oysters. I feel like we checked a little bit of fun, a little bit of bike riding, a little bit of boat riding. And yes, I want to thank Angelo's Restaurant for feeding us. Love a place that is cheap pizza specials, has a bar inside of it, has seafood, and your good old pie. Just went to the pie shop this morning, got a lot of nice pies. And I was like, I like pie. I'll have a piece of pie. Southern hospitality to the max.
Let's not forget, though, we also had great meals at the Tides Inn, just to loop back around. The Fishhawk Restaurant, my old bay.
Yeah.
And the fine dining at the Chesapeake Bay Room.
Dining where I had avocado ice cream and felt very Brady-like.
Yes, but you made me eat beets.
Yeah, well, you tried it.
I'm still going down that those taste like dirt. But my non-fish eating self, my filet was spectacular.
The try and went in for a golden beet. She's like, why is it colored like this? I said, there are golden beets. They're not just the red canned ones.
Yeah, okay.
She still didn't like it, but she gave it a try.
I did. I will not try or slurp an oyster, but I did eat a beet.
That's it. I know. Small baby steps, Lisa.
That's right. A foodie I will never be.
Chesapeake Bay, 48 hours course, we've got to thank Lisa Hull, who is the Northern Neck Planning District Commission Tourism Coordinator. She is a coordinator with the mostest.
She is. She is. And also another shout out to Jim Guta,
the corporate director of communications over at the Enchantment Group. Jim, you are the best. Thank you so much for lining this up for us so that we could have 48 hours in Chesapeake Bay. Don't forget train travel. Once again, closest station, Richmond?
Richmond and Colonial Williamsburg are about tied. And I've been to both of them. They're great stations. Richmond is a great stop. If you're trying to make a trip out of this, really, really fun city. The Jefferson Hotel, even if you don't stay there, it's one of those Gilded Age, beautiful places that you just need to walk in and it'll take your breath away. Colonial Williamsburg is, it's so cute because it's not period, obviously, but they did a really good job of taking a train station and making it fit in.
My kids like Sturbridge Village and Plymouth Plantation, so I feel as if this is very close to that experience in Williamsburg.
They would love this. I know they say Virginia is for lovers, but this is my 5th or 6th time in Virginia, and Virginia has everything.
Yeah.
They really do. I'm falling more and more in love with the state.
Yeah.
In general, you've got the mountains, the beaches, the bays, the history. There's just so much to do there.
Well, they're also a Commonwealth, so we kind of gravitate towards Commonwealth.
Yeah, we are comparing you to Massachusetts, but okay.
We've got to do it. For Lisa and Stephanie, please take a trip to the Chesapeake Bay. We have all the resources for you to find out everything that we've talked about on this podcast on our blog. So make sure you follow us wherever it is that you go and you tag us. Hashtag WTBIP, where women travel better in pairs.
We'll
talk to you next time.